But I told people at the beginning of the season, when Georgia beat Notre Dame, I said, this is going to propel them to the national championship. I said, let me tell you the reason why. They went into a hostile situation. Notre Dame is, the tradition at Notre Dame is huge. Notre Dame got a huge team. They went into Notre Dame and they beat them. What it boils down to is who's the toughest. One of you both are in a room, who's going to come out of that room? And I can bet you dime to donut, those guys from Georgia are going to come out first now because they know how to do it.
So, you know, the natural follow-up question is, how do you compare this year's team to your championship team in 1980?
Well, you know, it's funny because I mentioned something early on. I said they got good leadership. Well, that's what we had. And I tell everyone, you know, when I first got to Athens, we had an incredible senior class. Look at the senior class that the Dogs got right now. We had some great coaches. Look at the coaches the Dogs got right now. I almost tweeted this out. I almost said that looked like the old junkyard dog. Because I said those guys are bend, but they don't break. And they're going to get after you. You see when you're making a tackle, you don't see one guy making the tackle. You don't see two guys. You see a group of guys hitting you, getting on the ball, and that's what the junkyard dogs are all about.
Does it feel almost like an old school type of feel to this team when you have that defense and then you have the running game? You mentioned Chubb and Michelle. In this era of the passing game and spread offenses, the top three rushers in Georgia history are yourself, Chubb, and then Sony Michel.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. People get away to talk about that West Coast offense, West Coast. But look back over history. You can run a West Coast offense, but when you want to win a football game, you better be able to run it. Because they may throw the ball down the field, but when it's time to save that clock, they better be able to move that ball down the field. And I think that's what is going to propel Georgia to a victory in this college championship, being able to run the ball, because it's that old time hit people right in the mouth and keep going.
RBU, I mean, is it safe to, I know during your day and a little bit prior to it, USC was always considered tailback U. Mm-hmm. Is it safe to say Georgia is running back university at this point?
You know, I think Georgia became the RBU a long time ago. One thing they're doing is they're letting everybody play. You sending a fresh guy in all the time. You don't realize how tough that is on defense. You send Chubbs in there and send Michelle, and then Swift got that move, the things he's doing. And people don't realize that's sort of like somebody throwing an uppercut, and then all of a sudden he's throwing that right, and then that overhand. You know, people not used to seeing all that happen. Oklahoma will be a tough game. Oklahoma got a great team. You know, I'm in Texas, so I see that type of football they play. But I think right now, by Georgia beating Auburn got a great program, big guys, just like Oklahoma got. But Georgia knows that they can play with anybody. And Georgia and Clemson playing Alabama, this will be the best playoff they've had in college football, probably since they started, to be honest with you. That's since they started. So I think people got a lot to look forward to, you know, over the New Year's Day. But I think that Georgia is going to become victorious over Oklahoma.